With us today, we have famed Australian comedian and architecture lover Tim Ross. Tim's in Warrnambool
I'm here.
to talk about all things that he knows about and is good at, and some other things as well. Welcome, Tim.
Oh, it's great to be here. I've had an amazing time already. I had no idea where I was going.
Right.
And so we were walking past this extraordinary Fletcher Jones factory, which I knew about.
Yep.
And I was looking at the gardens, and then we thought, oh, let's just stop here and have a look before we get to this meeting to see you. Mm-hmm. And I was walking into where we are, which is great. So it's been quite the experience already.
That's awesome. First question to you. When did you realise you were funny? We all think we're pretty funny.
Yeah.
But when do you actually realise you can make a living out of being funny?
No, when I started, well, the answer is when they started paying me. But no, I think I was at a church camp when I was about 11 or something. And there was a sketch, and I was playing an American evangelist preacher. And everyone was laughing, and I went, oh, there's a power to being on the stage. You know, I like this. And I think from that moment on, and I always liked doing plays and stuff when I was a kid, but from that moment on, I think performing was something I thought was going to be my jam.
Yep.
And I've been lucky enough to make it pretty much most of my life.
And do you get, I mean, Warrnambool's famous for Dave Hughes,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of people who swear that he's got 3 or 4 mates who are even funnier than he is. Do you get that as well, that, you know, people think that they're even funnier than you?
Oh, I think your friends are much funnier. Because there's difference, you know, like being performatively funny is a different skill to the better funny, which is your mates telling stories. Like, we've got an old mate, Bulldog, who we went to school with. It's the funniest bloke you'll ever meet in your life, and the most charismatic person you'll ever meet in your life. But he's not ever going to be a professional performer.
Yeah.
So, you know, like someone like Dave is probably funnier on stage than he is.
Yeah, yeah.
When he's just whinging about all that shit. He whinges about it or whatever. But, you know, an extraordinary comedian, and he's been what a great ambassador for Warrnambool.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Architecture, the great Australian dream, owning a home.
Yeah.
We're 1970 babies. So I've just Googled that, and so we were brought up in a different time, I suppose. I know I was brought up in a commission home, 2 parents and 5 kids, and you know, so we all squashed in. Whereas now it's you know, 5 bathrooms, 2 kids. You know, it's a different landscape now. Our chase of the Australian dream. Do you think maybe because we're looking for the ultimate to start with, rather than when we grew up, we lived within our means a little bit more, or not?
No, I think our houses become supersized, but our debts become supersized as well. So, but the idea of living within your means, like there's a misunderstanding, I think, about the difference in the housing prices when we were kids and what they are today. And so when my parents had the houses were simpler there. That wasn't because of our desires and needs. There was a lot of that was a hangover from there was no materials around. Yeah. So houses from the 1950s and 60s were quite small, not because everyone wanted a small house. It's because you just simply couldn't get the bricks. Yeah. Right? In the 1970s, and into the 1980s, we had much bigger houses, and there's more material around, and they were still incredibly cheap comparatively to today. In those days, our desire is no different to what it is today. It wasn't like in the 1970s people didn't want shit. It's not true. Like this idea, you see it all the time with baby boomers who will talk about, we didn't get to have overseas holidays. We didn't go out for avocado and toast, right? The reason they didn't have overseas holidays is because flights were expensive. The average flight between Melbourne and Sydney in 1985 was like $700 in 1980s money. So those options weren't there. They didn't go out for avocado and toast because people didn't go out for breakfast then. It simply wasn't a thing. They spent money on other things, you know. So it's not that life was easier, it was just simply that, you know, certain things were more expensive. Buying a TV then would cost you 5 or 6 times the amount of money than it does today. You go to Kogan and you can pick up a telly for $150. In those terms, if you wanted a telly in 1989, it was $600 in 1980s money. But the huge difference is that house that cost $120 $20,000 in 1985, you know, and it now costs $1.5 million or $2 million, you know, and that's the absurdity of it, you know. And I think it's really important to realise that in the 1950s and 60s, in that post-war baby boomers time, our desire to have great houses and all the mod cons was created. We had the rise of the washing machine, the rise of the lawnmower, and they seem like simple things, but they were big deals. You know, washing machine, dishwashers, ovens, appliances. We all, you know, all the mod cons. You know, and that just stays with us. There's stories from another time.
You can't beat local, and Dalys IGA Fresh Marketplace is as local as it gets. You'll find the best quality fresh produce matched by friendly customer service. Dalys has your favourite brands, complemented by expert local grocers living in your community. In-house butchers and local liquor specialists are on hand to provide you the best our region has to offer. Join IGA Rewards for exclusive member discounts and cashback right here in your community. Dalys IGA Fresh Marketplace. You can't beat local.
VG Cabinets is your specialist cabinetry team, servicing Warrnambool and surrounding areas. With over 20 years' experience, the team here can get your cabinetry needs sorted. Housing a CNC router to make sure all the cuts in the workshop are accurate for a perfect install on site. VG Cabinets cover all areas, including kitchens, vanities, laundries, flat packs, stone bench tops, and new homes and renovations. We offer free quotes on any job, so don't hesitate to call Lee on 0408 580 991.
Looking to join a group tour departing right here from Warrnambool? Or maybe create your own personalised trip with friends and family? Take the stress out of your next getaway with Warrnambool Travel. Call today to find out more.
And why do we crave that little patch of our own on the earth?
Because we were told to.
Right.
So, I mean, in the post-war period, it was like, give a man a mower and a mortgage and he won't become a communist.
You're right.
That was the whole desire for it.
Yeah.
And we were sold this dream of living out in the suburbs, having our own space.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is as time's gone on, that those houses on the quarter-acre block, we still want the house, but the block shrunk. So we're much closer to our neighbours, but our houses also don't interact with the street. So we don't, even though we're close to our neighbours, we don't hang out with our neighbours.
Yep.
We drive our cars straight into the garage. We don't park out the front or in the carport, so we don't stopping to see people. We don't walk anywhere as much as we used to because our cars are everything. So yeah, we miss out on all that interaction. So we're still holding on to this idea of having the quarter-acre block and the house with 2 cars in the driveway and the lemon tree to have a wee on and maybe some fruit trees. But the fruit trees have disappeared, the lemon trees have disappeared. We've got a pergola out the back, we've got small punched out space. And so and we focused on our internal spaces. So we want a cinema, we want an extra bathroom.
Yeah. Do you think we're compensating for that quarter acre for what we can have inside then?
Yeah, and also we can't get a quarter acre anymore because land's, far more expensive than it was before. So I think it's really.
Do you think though there is something? I know if I sit in my backyard and have a beer on a Saturday night, there is something very comforting that. Maybe because just a old school and country person, that there is something very comforting that just that this is, this is your little piece of where we are. And you like inviting people into it.
People there, and that will remain as, and that's part of our lives, and we grew up with it, or we grew up wanting to attain that. But if you're today and you're 18, 19, you have different desires, and some people you're growing up thinking this is what I want because my parents had it, my grandparents had it. Or you're growing up thinking I want a world where I live close to everything and where I've got an apartment, I don't have to worry about anything. I want to travel all over the place. I don't want to be tied down. So yeah, I think we have to think about how we live through the eyes of new people, younger people, and how they want to live.
Yeah. What about with them young people are living longer? As a rule, it's so... You get more time now as a 55-year-old man, lucky enough to have a house paid off, still really fit, and now we can just go and we can travel 2 or 3 times a year, have decent holidays, and know that we've got that security behind us. So it feels like that 30 years we worked for it is really well invested now at this other end where we're still as everyone gets a bit fitter as they get older.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also a reason for that security, so you know that you've got that thing there, that life doesn't end anymore like, you know, our grandparents did, but 60 years old was an old person. You know what I mean?
Whereas you retire and you go on a cruise and you fall off the perch. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas even now it seems to make even a little bit more sense that to have that security there where you can now, as a 55-year-old onwards, go and live a bit more than what you once did.
Well, you want to do. I mean, but and also the difference between our generation and our grandparents' generation is that we have the security of superannuation.
Yes. Yeah.
Which enables people to do all those things. But if you're 20 today, and unless you've got huge amounts of intergenerational wealth, your opportunity to be 55 and own your own home and have it paid off is limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the national shame, because we should be able in this country to have that opportunity to have either a well-designed house and a well-designed apartment that's either better value to buy, or it's supplied by the government so you can rent it at a reasonable price for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's the failure, that's the greatest Australian failure of all time. That we had a dream that was pretty simple, and then we ruined it, not by anything other than greed and government policy that changed it.
Yeah. Do we, in a world where we're really conscious of what we recycle and what we, you know, we don't double up on things to, you know, do we maybe not do that with houses enough? Is there, all you hear about is we've got to build more houses. Should there be more of a focus at, okay, let's not let people rent as many houses, let's actually reuse the houses we already have?
Yeah, so as an example, we're staying in a little Airbnb around the corner from here. It's a 3-bedroom Federation home. At the front, they've obviously cordoned off the front yard, and they're going to build maybe a granny flat or something at the front of the place. So our existing building stock. So let's just talk about where you guys live right now.
Yep.
So you've got a 3-bedroom house with a garage, and you've got a bit of space. You might have already built a granny flat. And you're 65, so maybe your kids have lived in the granny flat. Maybe you might end up living in the granny flat. You can turn, you know, with the change in sort of planning policy, you could essentially turn that garage into an apartment as well that someone could live in, a student lives in. You could change part of your house to make it smaller, or your family could live in that, your kids and some of your kids, and then you at 70 could live in the granny flat, and you don't have to go anywhere. So where we fall over is a lot of the time we've got a 75-year-old person still living in the family home and no one else lives in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but if we have that 75-year-old with a 22-year-old student living in the apartment at the front, or the kids living in the house, and that 75-year-old living in the granny flat that maybe a teenager lived in. So our stage of life changes. So, so our houses sort of, over time, they adapt to what we want.
Yeah.
Because then we don't end up knocking over that really beautiful California bungalow in the main street here that can stay and can adapt to build 6 apartments or two semis next to it. So you still got this wonderful heritage of your wonderful town that's really important, right? Really important to people. So we hold on to that. We just put more people into the one block without destroying everything, and not, you know, you're going to have more and more apartments here. That's just going to happen. But, But that's cool. It's going to be really great. If they're done really well, people are really going to enjoy living in those.
Very interesting.
There's a lot to talk about, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Look, and
not as funny as you expected. Not as funny as you see.
I actually, I'm probably a traditionalist, and we live on a probably quarter-acre block in Croydon, just down the road. So I see that side of it, but it's interesting to see another point of view with it all.
And that's cool.
Where it's all going.
And I'm not and people should be allowed to live however they want to live, but we just need to give opportunities for all Australians to live in a way that they deserve, because you know the Australian dream is more about housing. It's really about us living in a fair society. Where everyone has opportunities.
Beautiful. All right, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, buddy.
Beautiful.
Good to be here.
Good man.